So you're thinking about raising some chickens. I'm going to just tell you what I have learned in the last few years we've had them. And this is coming from someone who's not an expert and who was never raised with chickens. Hello friends, today is a gorgeous fall day here. It is beautiful. Doesn't feel like October at all today, but no humidity, so it's great. So as you just saw, we put the chickens into the garden. I do that every year, give them some time to scratch around in there, get anything that might have been left, and it gets them out of the pen so I can get them ready for winter. So I thought this would be the perfect time to make a video about chickens. Now, as I said, I'm not an expert. I was never raised with chickens. David was. David grew up on a farm, so he had chickens. He's had every kind of animal, honestly, known to man, I think. But yeah, so as usual, I did a lot of research before we got chickens. A lot of research. I think I researched for a good year or more before we actually got our first chickens. So I'm just going to go over a few things that we have learned, a few things that we do, and you can take it and just, you know, make up your own decisions. And the puppy's upset because I won't let her out of the fence because I don't want her coming down into the pen. Just one second. Okay, we put her back inside. So as I was saying, it seems weird. I'm going to kind of start backwards, I guess, from where I should, but since we're in the coop, I'm getting it ready for winter. Okay, David put her back in the house. So I'm going to say the first thing. So the first thing I think you need when you're dealing with chickens is a very good pair of some kind of boot. Rain boot, muck boots, whatever you want to call them. You're going to need a good pair of these. And these are insulated too, so they're good for winter. I love them. I got them on Amazon. I can link them down in the description if you'd like. And they're comfortable, they're easy to get on, and they keep my feet warm even in the winter time. That is probably the first piece of advice I'm going to give you. You are going to need a good pair of boots. You're going to need them in the summer and you're going to need them in the winter. So make sure you have a place to keep your boots when you're done in the pen. Don't wear your mucky chicken boots into the house. We actually just keep a Rubbermaid tote with a lid under our gazebo up here on our deck, right by the front door. Yeah, they're cold in the winter, but I do not want the stuff from there in there. First piece of advice I'm going to give you, you are going to need a good pair of boots. You're going to need them in the summer and you're going to need them in the winter. The next thing you're going to need, obviously, is a coop, a place for the chickens to live. Now, it's kind of hard to see our coop right now because we have our awning up, which I'll talk about that in a minute. But this is our coop that David built. I helped, so I should say we built a few years ago. It actually just got painted this summer by our son. Just one of those things that never seem to get done. So maybe if I come over here, you can get a better angle of it. So you're going to definitely need a coop. Now, I guess I should say the first thing you need to, and the next thing, you have to decide what kind of chickens you're going to want. So there's a lot of things that go into that. First thing is you need to make sure you're going to pick chickens that are good for your climate. Now, we get pretty cold here in the winter, and frostbite is a possibility on the chickens' combs and on their wattles. Just from the cold, dunking their heads, you know, getting drinks, they come up. So some of the breed we bought, so all the breeds we bought, we thought we were getting, what were they, David? Arcanas. And we did not get Arcanas. We're not sure what they are. If they are bred with something else. Only one of them ended up with a very, very, very small comb. The others all have these mutant giant combs, which that breed's not supposed to have. And then the other two chickens we have are the sex-link chickens, and they have a smaller comb. So last winter was our first winter with this new batch, and we had a couple get look like they were getting frostbite. So what we do is to help prevent that, because we weren't planning on having the big, because we'd had chickens before with the bigger combs. We actually, for preventative reasons, when we know it's going to get cold, we rub petroleum jelly on their combs to help give them a layer of protection against the cold. We tried coconut oil. That does not work because the other chickens go crazy for it and they peck them. So don't do that. So we end up having to use petroleum jelly, which, you know, I'm not too worried about. It's a very small amount. So we do that to help give them the barrier. So yeah, so make sure you're going to pick chickens that are good for your climate. The next thing you have to decide is, what do you want for your chickens? Do you want eggs just to feed your family? Do you want meat bird chickens? I'm only going to talk about egg laying chickens because we haven't gotten into the meat birds yet. That is something that's on the plan for 2023. But this is just about egg layers. So I know for me personally, I wanted good quality eggs that I knew what the chickens were eating. I knew how the chickens were being taken care of. It makes a difference in the eggs. I'm telling you, it's crazy how the quality of our eggs compare to the ones you get in the store. I also knew I wanted some pretty eggs. So some of our chickens lay blue eggs, and then the sex links lay brown eggs. And that was just a personal preference. I just think they're beautiful. I really want to get the green and the chocolate brown laying eggs. But again, that's something for next year. You have to decide too, how many eggs does your family eat? We have 8 chickens currently, and during the summer, we pretty much got an egg every single day from our chickens. So we were getting 8 a day. So by the end of the week, that was a lot of eggs. If you have family you can share them with, great. I am fortunate enough that I'm actually able to make a little bit of money off of ours, and I sell our extra eggs. Now, once the weather starts getting cooler, I probably won't do that just because they're going to freeze. So if they sit out in the cooler at the end of the driveway, they might freeze. So that's not good. Your chickens, your first winter, you're not going to notice it. The second winter, chickens are going to stop laying probably. I personally haven't had it where they've stopped completely. All of our chickens, no one has told them they're supposed to slow down when the weather gets colder. We're still getting almost an egg a day from these chickens. I think yesterday we got 6. So, and we have 8 chickens. So that's crazy. So no one has told them they're supposed to slow down. 4 of our chickens are, this is their second winter. I'm expecting to see lower yields this year, but like I said, we've never had that happen with any of the chickens we've had. So we will see. So yeah, so you have to decide how many chickens you want, how many eggs you think you're going to need, and if you have extra, what you're going to plan on doing with them, whether you're going to give them away or pay for them. Now, don't go into doing this thinking, oh, I'm going to raise chickens because we'll have cheap eggs. No. It's right now, it's about $8 or $9 for a dozen organic free-range eggs at our local Walmart right now. And they're still not fresh, but we only feed them organic feed. We don't use any pesticides with anything that we clean the coop, anything like that. But a bag of feed right now is, I have to ask my other chicken owner. David, how much are we paying for feed right now, organic chicken feed? Almost $40 right now for one bag. And with our amount of chickens, we buy 2 bags at a time, and we have to do that every 2 months, David? Yeah. But every 2 months. So it's costing us $80 every 2 months for our eggs. So it's not going to be cheaper. It is much cheaper and certainly less work if you're just going to go buy a good quality egg from a grocery store, or like us, there's lots of us out here who sell organic eggs. I sell mine for $5 a dozen. And I've been fortunate enough all through the summer, I sold enough of them to pay for their feed. So pretty much our chickens were free all summer. So that's a bonus. So that might be something you want to take into account. You're also going to need shavings, some kind of covering in the coop. A lot of people use straw, some people use hay, some people use sand. We use shavings. It's the easiest to get, it's the cheapest to get, and it lasts longer, and our chickens like it. And you have to make sure though it's natural wood shaving. So okay, so back up a little bit. So when you finally pick out what chickens you want, you're probably going to buy them from a hatchery. We have a couple of hatcheries that we can order from here. Typically, hatcheries are going to tell you you need to get 5 chicks. That's for the safety of the chicks. They need to stay warm and safe in the little box that they are going to come to you in. And it usually has to be a minimum of 5. So just realize that you're probably going to have to get at least 5 chickens, 5 chicks. We've lost a chick every single time we've ordered them. So it's probably a good thing you get 5, at least 5, because we, usually end up with 4. So you get these cute little fuzzy chicks. They're so sweet. And what are you going to do with them? You're going to need a brooder. Brooder can be anything. We have built a brooder. We've also used a giant Rubbermaid tote, like one of those really, really big ones. That's what we used last time. We built a little top out of 2x4s and chicken wire that we could put on top. We could remove it and stuff because those little buggers will start trying to jump out pretty soon. Again, the shavings in there. You're going to need just a little chicken feeder and a chicken waterer because the chicks will drown if you give them a big bucket of water. So you can get all these things at your TSC stores, or PV as it's called here, your co-op stores, your feed stores. They all have them. You can even get them on Amazon now. You're also going to need a heat lamp. That is very, very important, especially if you're getting your chicks in the spring, winterish time, because they need to stay warm. There's lots of the book I'm going to be mentioning later. She tells you each week what your temperature should be. Your first week needs to be 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Just 1 second. So yeah, first week needs to be 95 degrees, and then each week after you lower it typically about 5 degrees until they have all their feathers. And they're going to go through an ugly stage, just warn you. At one point, those cute little fuzzy chickens don't look so cute anymore. So you typically around 8 weeks is when you're going to start exposing them to outside, let them get used to being outside. And your temperatures outside need to stay around 70 degrees Fahrenheit, 22 Celsius, before you can start leaving them in your coop. So your coop needs to be critter proof. You need to make sure that nothing can get in. Even our little flap we have to get the eggs, we have locks on that because raccoons can lift that, get in there, and they'll not only go after your eggs, they'll go after your chickens. Farmer down the road that we get our pork from, he just posted on Facebook, they lost almost every one of their chickens last week to foxes. And they don't know how it happened because they've done everything they can, but hey, they're wily. They will get into your coop. So unfortunately it happens. It hasn't happened to us, knock on wood. I really hope it doesn't. So, what else can I tell you about chickens? I hope I'm telling you everything I can. And there's lots of resources for all this too. There's lots of YouTube channels about chicken keeping. I'm just going to tell you what's been working for us and what we've learned. So one of the other things you're going to do is chickens love to take dust baths. Love it. They love to take them. So we have, and I'll show you. So we just have these kiddie pools that we picked up. One we bought, one we got free from Buy Nothing Group. And we just fill it up with nice loose dirt. It's been raining here, so obviously we got to empty that. Chickens love to take dust baths. It's how they clean themselves. It's how they take care of mites. One of the things I do for our chickens is I put diatomaceous earth, coop bath, dust bath. It's all called kinds of things. Again, I will link in the description what I use. You can get it from Amazon. You can get it from your Tractor Supply stores, your feed stores, all those things. And I just put it in there. And it helps take care of any mites or anything that might be in there. And chickens love it. I love watching them take a dust bath. It is so much fun. So they're going to want that. It's a little bit harder in the winter because it freezes. We do our best to try and keep soil around so it can stay unthaw, loose, so we can throw it in, but it does freeze, so they don't typically get as many bass in the winter, but they don't need them as much because the pest rate is much lower because it's so cold. You're going to need roost. You got to make sure you have a roost in your coop, and we actually start training our chicks early in the brooder with little sticks that we put across so they can start learning how to hop up, because your chickens are going to want, that's where they're going to want to sleep at night. They like to go high to keep themselves safe. Nesting boxes. So the recommended, right, David? The recommendation for nesting boxes is for every 4 chickens, you only need 1 box. So we have 2 boxes. Well, as I'm sitting here recording this video for you all, I see an egg in the ground out here in the area, the fencing, and that's not the first time this week. And we should have plenty of nesting boxes. We're actually going to put another one in today to see if that helps. I think they're all timed, you know, they're all ladies living together, so they all seem to be timed at the same time when they want to lay an egg. And if the nesting boxes are full, they can't hold it, so they're laying outside in the dirt, and that's no good. I don't know how long that's been out here, so that's a waste of an egg, and I hate that. That really drives me crazy. Them is you can either do crushed up their own eggs, washed up, crushed up eggshell. I personally don't do that. They say it doesn't make them want to go after their own eggs, but I think it does. So we buy oyster shell, great big bag. We've only bought it once this year, and we haven't gone through it all yet. And actually, if you can give me some, David, I'll show you what it looks like. Oyster shell's high in calcium. You just give it to them in a separate bowl from their feed, and they automatically know how much they need to eat to make sure that they're laying nice hard-shelled eggs. So that is the oyster shell, okay? Literally oyster shell. And they automatically know how much to eat, so you need to make sure you give it to them separate from their feed. First, you're going to get starter, then grower, then layer. They're usually on the grower from about 6-8 weeks to about 16 weeks. Usually when they start getting ready to lay, which for most, it varies for different breeds. Our chickens started laying around the 16-17 week mark. So that's when you switch them over to layer. It has a lot of the nutrients they're going to need. So that being said, I also add extra nutrients to their food, especially in the winter time. We add cinnamon, garlic, oats, and oregano. The cinnamon helps keep them a little bit warmer. It's also autoimmune. It's an immune booster, as long as so the garlic and the oregano too is an immune booster. And the oats help keep them a little bit warmer, and it's good for them. They love them. I just throw a little bit of organic oats in when they're feed every day in the winter. I also add some apple cider vinegar to their water, just a little bit, to help with, again, that helps them absorb the calcium that they're going to be eating, and it just helps any internal parasites and stuff. If you start them right off when they're chicks, they don't notice a difference. I'm not putting like a whole gallon of apple cider vinegar in their water. I put maybe a couple capfuls in a great big thing of water. I'm hoping this is making sense. I feel like I'm all over the place as I'm remembering stuff, but I didn't want to write it all down and read from it. So I'm just trying to go from memory, and we all know my memory's not the greatest. So now, if you live in a climate where it gets very hot in the summer, your chickens are going to need shade. Lots of shade. Heat stroke is not fun. We've had it happen a few times to chickens. We had a chicken in our house last summer that we saved, thank goodness, from heat stroke, but they will get heat stroke. One of the things is they will not drink warm water. So you need to make sure you are giving them fresh, cold water several times a day. We freeze great big blocks of ice and put that in their water in the morning, and make sure we are we have to keep them in the shade so it stays nice and cool, because chickens won't eat warm water, drink warm water. They won't, and then they go get heat stroke. One of the reasons, as I said, I was going to mention, that's why we have this awning here. This year, we put this up in the summer, and we're taking it down today. We actually are building a big top for the chickens. We hope to get that done before winter. It's going to basically be like what we had in the brooder. We're 2x4s, chicken wire, and sitting in on top, only we're going to attach it. And then next year, we might not even use this awning. We might just put tarps over certain sections of the roof so they have shade. So yes, it's very, very important. The book I'm going to mention to you, Lisa Steele book, she actually has a recipe in there for electrolytes for chickens. It's what saved our chickens. So I highly recommend this book. It is fabulous. And she talks about the extra things you can add to chicken feed and things like that. So, as I said, I did a lot of research before we got our first chickens, and one of the people that I found that I really, really go to is Lisa Steele. And this is her book the first book I got of hers, Fresh Eggs Daily. And it's all about keeping chickens. And she also has one for ducks. And she just a few things like what to do when they're molting, what you should be doing in the coop, what their nesting boxes look like, dust bath area. Everything you wanted to know about chickens is in this little book. I will link it in the description box below. It's fabulous. She also has a Facebook page, an Instagram page, and a website, Fresh Eggs Daily. I highly recommend any of her books for anything you want to know about chickens or ducks. They're fabulous. coop ready for winter. So what that means is I'm going to give it all a good clean. I clean it very, very, very thoroughly twice a year. I do it at the end of winter and I do it before winter starts. So I'm just going to go in, freshen it up, clean it. I use my own cleaner I make called Coop Clean. It's my own lemon vinegar that I make, and I add thyme to it. And I'm just going, and I let that soak, sit in big bottle forever, strain it all out, and I have it in a spray bottle. The other thing we do is we do the deep litter method here in our part to help the chickens stay warm in the winter. What we do is we're going to lay down a nice fresh layer of shavings, and we do not clean it out to spring. We just put a layer of shavings down every 2 weeks and just keep letting it build up, and then it's just the natural heat from the chicken's waste help keep it warm. And that being said, the water does freeze in the winter, so we actually got an electric feeder that's actually a dog dish. I got it off of Amazon. I will link it in the description for you. I feel like I say that a lot, but it's true. And we just run an outdoor extension cord from our house to here, and it keeps it the perfect temperature. It doesn't freeze, so we don't have to worry about the chickens not having fresh water in the winter. Okay, the other thing is we don't have a rooster. Couple of reasons. I don't want baby chicks. I just don't. It's something I have thought about, but even though we're in the country, we're still surrounded by a lot of neighbors, and I didn't want the roosters making a lot of noise and the neighbors complaining, and then all of a sudden I lose all my chickens. So that's one of the reasons. So David made it easier for me to clean the coop. He put a trap door right here. So I'm going to go ahead and pull all that out. Okay, first layer of shavings for the winter is down. You don't have to be perfect because the chickens are going to distribute this for you. So there we are, nice clean coop, nice fresh start for winter. So I hope this answered some of your questions that you were asking me about chickens. I hope I wasn't all over the place with it. I'll give you a better look of what we have here. That is our little chicken house and pen. And yeah, we're gonna put some fresh dirt in one of the pools with some of that dust bath. So when the chickens come back down from the garden here in a little bit, they can take a bath and enjoy some unfrozen dirt for the next little bit. So if you have any other questions that I can answer, please look down, please ask them down in the comments, and I will do my best to answer them. So to wrap this all up, do I think having chickens is great? Yes. Do I think you should do your research before you get them? Absolutely. Please do your research before you get them. And I enjoy them. They're funny. Yeah, they make you have to get out in the winter. So that's a good thing, because sometimes you can just want to hibernate when it's cold and they depend on you. So you have to get out there and help them. And let's face it, there is nothing like cooking up or baking with an egg that you literally just got out of your nesting boxes that your hens just laid. Until then, folks, take care. God bless. Be kind to one another. And we'll see you all soon.